Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So exciting stuff's happening. Game of Thrones has started casting season 6 and we have descriptions for a bunch of characters. Just to put things into perspective though, they cast about 25 new big characters for season 5. So this is like a fraction of that. What I'm going to do is just a breakdown of the names that they list. Most of them don't have names. Usually whenever shows cast big characters, they try to use fake names to throw people off. The descriptions for the characters are solid though, and they point to some very big characters from the books being cast. And the good news is that Comic-Con is just a couple weeks away, so they'll do their yearly casting video, and we'll find out who at least like 6 or 7 of these really big people are. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't finished season 5 yet, and new round of the giveaway starts now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. It's just a $20 Amazon gift card. So here we go, starting with the pirate. I already did a Euron Greyjoy video for this. That's who everyone thinks this new pirate character is. I know there are a lot of Ironborn fans out there that were bummed that they got cut out of season 5. It seems like even if they cut out a lot of that plot, we will at least get Euron Greyjoy, so there'll be a little bit of Ironborn stuff. If you haven't seen that video I did, I'll put a link in the description. But moving along, there's a father, age 50 to 60s. He's one of the greatest soldiers in Westeros, humorless, martinet, severe, and intimidating. Really the big thing here is that it said that he's centrally involved in a protagonist storyline. So the big theory here is that this is Randyll Tarly. This is Samwell's father. Samwell and Gilly, as of the end of season 5, are on their way to Oldtown, which is very near Horn Hill, where Sam's family's from. The humorless description just fits Sam's father to a T, the way he described him to Jon back in season 1. Then there's a couple other family characters associated with that father. There's a mother, a son, and a daughter, and it sounds like they're just casting the rest of Samwell's family. Samwell's mother is Melissa Florent. His younger brother is Dickon. Remember, he's the one that Samwell's father is supposed to like more because he's more of a warrior. There is a sister listed, but I don't remember Samwell ever talking about a sister in the books, so she could be an original creation of the show. The show adds a lot of original characters. If you remember, during season 5, Stannis actually spoke very highly of Randyll Tarly when he was talking to Samwell, even though Sam's father fought against him, so that tells you what a fierce warrior he is. So moving along, there's a new priest that's said to be in his 40s or 50s, a gruff ex-soldier who found religion, a no-nonsense rural priest who ministers to the poor of the countryside. He's a salt-of-the-earth man who has weathered many battles. Even if they change the name, he sounds like Septa and Maribald from the books. You know, everybody start your Gravedigger theory crafting now. No idea what plot he's going to be associated with in the books. Maybe Brienne and Podrick, we'll see. If you don't know who the Gravedigger is, there's just like this mass fan theory that the Hound is still alive and living under a different name. But then we have a priestess in her 20s or 30s, any ethnicity. She's beautiful, intense, and magnetic. There were some casting sides that were floating around for a new Red Priestess in Old Volantis, so that might be who this is. It doesn't sound like anyone specific from the books, but just make a mental note that the show is slowly casting more and more people associated with the Red God. I mean, it only makes sense if the War for the Dawn is Endgame. We have to learn more about his religion, and we can only do that through more Red Priests. Right now, we only know Melisandre and Thoros of Myr, and we haven't seen Thoros in forever. So moving along then, there's 3 boys that look like they might be part of a flashback. There's a large boy, an actor who's 10 or 12, but playing 7 or 8, described as a clever boy who seems too large for his age, big and tall, but not fat. Then a 12-year-old boy with brown hair, blue eyes. He needs to use a northern accent. That means he's going to be from the north in the show, like the north of Westeros. He has scenes where he has to spar with a wooden sword. Then there's a 7-year-old boy with dark brown hair, a narrow face, and green eyes. He also has a northern accent, spars with a wooden sword. So the best theory is that this is going to be a Ned Stark flashback in the Godswood of Winterfell. Ned Stark is a child. They started season 5 with the Cersei flashback, so of course the show is going to do more flashbacks. Just to avoid like very definite spoilers, I'm going to avoid talking about the character that does have this flashback, but if you know who that is, just please use spoiler tags if you want to talk about it. Next characters, there's 2 very Dothraki sounding characters with names that aren't from the books. They sound like they're going to be part of this Daenerys storyline early in the season. She just got taken by them in the finale, so of course we're going to see a bunch of Dothraki stuff in the first couple of episodes. Then there's a band of outlaws that could be someone from the books. It could be an original creation of the show. They all have names that aren't from the books. The leader is named Lachlan, and the description reads that they've turned on the people in the land they've sworn to protect. One of them's called Bauer. He's a powerless servant who's numb to the horror of those he serves. All of them are supposed to have Northern English accents. When I think of Northern English, I think of Walder Frey, but there's also a lot of actors that are supposed to be from Northern Ireland, which is where the North scenes are filmed, so this is probably happening somewhere in the North. The only real notable outlaw bands that we've seen on the show so far are the Brotherhood Without Banners, which is, Thoros of Myr, that was back during season 2, and then Locke's group, which was kind of a stand-in for the Brave Companions, so I don't think that this new group is either one of those. This next one is actually really awesome. It sounds like a flashback character. He's supposed to be a legendary fighter, a man in his 30s or 40s who is a great swordsman and a paragon of knighthood. He carries a famous sword, meaning Valyrian sword. The show is seeking a very impressive swordsman for the role, the best in Europe. So the actor that they want to cast needs to be an amazing swordsman. He'll be filming a week's worth of fighting scenes for a season 6 role. There's no ethnicity or race specified. The leading theory right now is that this is Arthur Dayne in a flashback. His famous Valyrian sword is called Dawn. It's a two-handed greatsword, just like Ned Stark's ice. Arthur Dayne is one of the few characters that other characters on the show and in the books have acknowledged as being a better fighter than they were. Barristan Selmy calls him out as a better fighter, and if Barristan Selmy says you're a good fighter, that means you're like Jesus with a sword. To my opinion right now, there are no living Westerosi characters that meet this description. That's why I think it's another flashback. So here's where it gets even more interesting. Arthur Dayne died during Robert's Rebellion at the Tower of Joy. He fell while he was guarding Lyanna Stark, but it was when Ned Stark and Hallan Reed came to rescue her. Hallan Reed landed the killing blow. So the tinfoil theory to this is that we could get a Tower of Joy flashback. I've already done a video all about Lyanna Stark that kind of explains what goes on at the Tower of Joy, so I'll put a link in the description. But basically, Ned Stark, Hallan Reed found out Rhaegar Targaryen was keeping Lyanna Stark at the Tower of Joy, went to get her. Rhaegar had to leave to join the War of Rebellion, but he left his closest friend, Arthur Dayne, behind to protect her. Ned referred to him as the finest knight he ever knew, and after he died, he took his Valyrian sword, he took Dawn, to Starfall to his sister, Ashara Dayne. One of the early theories for Jon Snow's parents were that Ned Stark was his father and Ashara Dayne was his mother. Ned was just at Starfall to return Arthur Dayne's sword to his family. I, of course, back the R+L=J theory of Jon Snow's parentage, but you guys can watch my Lyanna Stark video and form your own opinions. Moving along, there's a couple more really big characters that are looking for from Northern Ireland, which is where they film the scenes in the north, so just more characters from the north. There are two big lords they're looking for different castles. The first is a savage warrior who's supposed to be huge, like really big, so he's probably going to be Small John Umber. His father is Great John Umber, who we have seen on the show. The other lord is supposed to be ruthless and calculating, a frightening lord that rules a vassal household with a castle stronghold. The other big place could be White Harbor, so they could be doing White Harbor and the Last Hearth, which is where House Umber's from. There are a couple other big places in the north we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen the Cardhold yet, we haven't seen Deepwood Motte, so there are a number of places this could be, but I definitely think the Umbers for that, that giant character they're looking for. And that's pretty much it for the big characters. Obviously, that's a lot of people, so we're not going to see all of those in the Comic-Con video, just the biggest ones. That's about 4 weeks away. Comic-Con is the second week in July. I will be there, I'll get footage of the panel, all that stuff, so no worries. I haven't done any Comic-Con videos yet, it's not quite close enough, so when we get closer to that, I'll start doing previews of all the stuff I'm going to be doing while I'm there. But the characters I'm most excited for, hopefully, if some of these theories pan out, are Euron Greyjoy, Arthur Dayne, young Ned Stark, and Samwell's family. Here's my big question for you guys. If the show is going to be doing Arthur Dayne in a flashback, do you think that it's going to tell us something new about Robert's Rebellion and maybe something to do with Jon Snow's parentage? Just because this casting news came kind of suddenly, I'm going to move my Resurrection video to Sunday, and then I'll do a Q&A just like I normally do on Monday. So the giveaway will just stay open until I post that Q&A video. I'll just remind everyone when I post that next video. So while you guys wait for all that stuff to post, you can click here to learn all about Lyanna Stark's history, and you can click here for my Season 6 predictions. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.